Mideast peace talks travel to D.C. Israeli and Palestinian officials will sit at the same table following an agreement reached with the help of the American Secretary of State. Israel also says it'll release a number of Palestinian prisoners as part of a so-called goodwill gesture. Beatrice Vaisman is following the story very closely from our newsroom. So, Beatrice, this is quite the development and not without controversy, right?
Absolutely, Anita, and that goes for anything that does happen in the Middle East. But this is certainly a situation that could, bring the beginning of the end here. And by the end, I mean the end of political gridlock that has lasted over almost 4 years now between Israel and the Palestinians, Anita. Now, as you mentioned off the top there, American Secretary of State John Kerry has been in the Middle East for the last week or so. And when he left the States for that region, he said he was going with a big plan to try to bring Israelis and Palestinians back to the negotiating table. Well, it does seem like his urges towards Mahmoud Abbas have been quite successful, because here we have the announcement of these two sides agreeing to talk. And here's how John Kerry made the announcement.
I am pleased to announce that we have reached an agreement that establishes a basis for resuming direct final status negotiations between the Palestinians and the Israelis. This is a significant and welcome step forward.
Anita, we know that Prime Minister Netanyahu held a cabinet meeting with all of his ministers today, where he made it very clear to them that all these talks with the Palestinians would be serious, to the point, and even more importantly here, discreet. Now, I actually just got off the phone with one of my sources in the Israeli Foreign Ministry, and due to the very sensitive diplomatic nature of these talks, he does want to remain anonymous, but he does say that it'll be interesting to see what happens here, and that the means to an end here is not beginning the talks, but what will happen as they develop, because as we know, there are a lot of issues between these two sides. One of these issues is a territorial, the border issue, in terms of, Palestinians want Israelis to recognize pre-1967 ceasefire borders. Israelis say they will not do so, but other things they're interested in is they want the Palestinians to recognize Israel as a state. This information, of course, coming from that source. They want Saudi Arabia to allow El Al flights to fly over the region to get to major business areas like India and China. And we also want them to see a demilitarized area in the Palestinian territories as well, Anita. So no doubt, as the discussions move forward here, they'll have a lot of things to work through.
Okay, so a lot of folks talking about this off the top. You alluded to the fact that anytime you talk about the Mideast, it's never without controversy. In Israel, there are leaders who are not really on board with Mr. Netanyahu's the path that he's taking, right?
Yeah, and that especially comes with the announcement from Israel, and it actually came from the International Relations Minister, who said that Israel would be slowly in stages releasing Palestinian prisoners. Now, we don't know how many they're planning on releasing. We are hearing the number 300 thrown around here by some Palestinian officials, but there certainly are some people within Netanyahu's government who are not so happy with this decision, and that's particularly one woman by the name of Miri Regev, who has called an emergency meeting with the Foreign and Defense Committee that she's a part of, asking for justification on this decision to release prisoners. And I want to show you a letter that she actually wrote to the committee. She says the Prime Minister must clarify the truth regarding the release of Palestinian prisoners who were involved in acts of terror and murder against Jews. And that very same source that I mentioned earlier from the Israeli Foreign Ministry, well, he says that no Israeli is happy about the release of these prisoners, but that is, something that they're willing to do to just continue the discussions in the hopes of getting a step further in these peace talks with the Palestinians, Anita.
All right, let's see what happens, right, Beatrice?
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
That, of course, is Beatrice Vaisman in our newsroom.